Not too long ago, it felt good to withdraw your cash from the bank, didn't it? For a vacation or a new car. But today, withdrawing your own cash has become risky. Pat Boone here for Swiss America. According to The Secret War, a new Swiss America white paper, I learned that all banks are now required to spy on you and me for the government, and then report any financial behavior deemed suspicious or unusual. You must read The Secret War. It's free. Truth is, I believe the government's new war against cash is really a war against us all. But the secret is now out. So please, get and read The Secret War.
Pick up your phone and call right now. 800-932-5517. 800-932-5517. Once again, that's 800-932-5517.
And hi, everybody. John Daly here with TVS Presents Sport Magazine on Radio. We have another great show for you. You'll hear from Michael Horowicz. Michael is a longtime colleague of mine from Real TV, but he is also a keen observer of sports and news. He is in the L.A. area. He'll give us his take on the start of baseball. Another longtime friend is Lee Moore. He is a legend in the Bern North Carolina area. He is a well-known sportscaster. But Lee also helped start the old Hooters golf tour and the Celebrity Players Tour. We will talk about celebrity golf events with him. And then you will hear from the man who has a lot of World Series history. Plus, he also played on the Senior Golf Tour. We will talk to Ralph Terry about golf, his years with the Yankees in the early 60s, and also his new book. Later in the show, I will have a commentary on a boneheaded move by baseball. An update here, we mentioned last week that the Maui Celebrity Classic has been moved from September. Thad Daber tells us that it looks like November 17th through the 20th will be the new date. Check out their Facebook page. Again, it is the Maui Celebrity Classic. Okay, here is our trivia question. Who is the only pitcher to throw the final pitch of 2 Game 7s in the World Series? The answer at the end of the show. Sport Magazine on Radio is brought to you by the TVS Television Network. Watch 6 streaming sports channels at tvstvnetworks.com. There's TVS Sports, TVS Classic Sports, TVS Women's Sports, TVS Turbo Sports, the TVS Boxing Network, and the TVS Sports Bureau. Catch my show, Undercover Jet Setter, on the TVS Travel Network and also on TVS Tavern TV. Watch all of the TVS Classic and new shows on tvstvnetworks.com. Got a question, opinion, or suggestion for the show? Drop us a line at tvstvnetwork@gmail.com. And remember, Sport Magazine on Radio is brought to you by the Myrtle Beach Golf Trail, with more than 20 great golf courses in South Carolina and North Carolina, plus great restaurants and lodging for a great golf weekend. Go to myrtlebeachgolftrail.com. When we come back, we will talk with Yankee great Ralph Terry.
The TVS Television Network, for decades your home for great sports TV, is back. You can watch 6 TVS sports channels now streaming on WatchYour.tv. It's free and it's on the internet as well as on Roku, Android, and iPhone and iPad apps. Watch TVS Sports Network, TVS Classic Sports Network, TVS Turbo Sports Network, TVS Women's Sports Network, TVS Tavern Sports Network, and TVS Boxing Network. That's TVS Television Network. 6 free channels at WatchYour.tv.
Hello and welcome back to the Ronnie Deutsch Tax Program. On the line is Paul from California. Hi, Paul. What's your tax problem today?
Hi, Ronnie. Love your show. Listen, I've got a big problem. You see, my paycheck was garnished last week, and I'm only getting half the normal amount. To make matters worse, the IRS froze my bank account. Listen, I'm embarrassed and scared. I need some help.
Listen, Paul, you don't need to feel embarrassed. You just need some tax help. And the great news is the IRS has some unbelievable programs that can eliminate your tax debt so you don't have to worry about having your paycheck garnished or your bank levied. Doesn't that sound great?
It sure does, Ronnie.
Then do yourself a huge favor and get a free consultation right now. And tell them the tax lady sent you.
855-715-5721. 855-715-5721. 855-715-5721. That's 855-715-5721.
Tired of the same old hat? CoverageGear.com is the top destination to find the hats and gear you need to represent your favorite pro teams and players. Head to CoverageGear.com with the promo code RADIO and grab a cap with the iconic jersey number of the all-time greats and current stars from the NBA, NFL, MLB, and more. These classic hats come in the font and style of the Superstars team. So with the number 30 from Golden State, number 2 from the Yankees, number 23 from the Bulls, or a number 12 from the Packers, CoverageGear.com will help you honor the legends of yesterday and today. Check out our collection of dad hats, trucker caps, beanies, stickers, and more. Use promo code RADIO and get 20% off. That's promo code RADIO at CoverageGear.com. CoverageGear.com. We've got you covered.
Hey, what do you want to da-da-da? I don't know. What do y'all think we should da-da-da? Well, what did we da yesterday? Yesterday. All the dolls feel like the same doll these days. I know. Like, is today Monday or Tuesday? Today is Thursday. Oh, no, I forgot to call my mom on her birthday. Oh, no. No.
These days, nothing is normal and everything is weird. But you could still save big when you switch to Progressive. That won't change. Not today or any day.
Quote today at Progressive.com.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
And welcome back to TVS Presents Sport Magazine on Radio. I'm John Daly. Ralph Terry is a former Major League Baseball player. He is part of some fascinating World Series history. He has also played on the Senior Golf Tour. I actually got a chance to play with Ralph in a foursome when we played on the Celebrity Players Tour. Ralph has also written a book about his life. It's called Right Down the Middle. Ralph Terry, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you, John. Pleasure.
It's great to be with you. So are you playing much golf out there in Kansas?
Well, I try to play at least 9 holes a day, the weather permitting. It's been very hot lately. And but at least we're fortunate out here in the small town USA in western Kansas, and we can get out. We don't have many cases out here.
Well, that's good. Hey, let's talk about your book. The book title is called Right Down the Middle. That kind of has two meanings. It's good for golf, but bad if you're pitching. What's that all about?
The author, John Woolley, he said, what are we going to call it, And anyway, I was talking about the first game I pitched in the big leagues when I was 18 in Fenway Park. And the Yankees had lost 6 in a row, and I won the game. I was the youngest pitcher they ever started in Fenway Park for the Yankees. And I was warming up and before the game, and I was bouncing the ball up, and they had the biggest crowd they'd had since the '48 playoff game. And I what's going on? I couldn't look up to the crowd, and I'm bouncing it. And anyway, I get in the game, and Yogi's behind the plate, Yogi Berra, and Billy Goodman's the hitter. He's a good 300 hitter, and Yogi puts the mitt right in the middle of the plate and puts down one finger for a fastball. And I said, man, this guy's a good hitter. They ought to be curving him or something first pitch. And Yogi said, no, come on, give it to me. And I threw the first pitch, and it just split the heart of the strike zone right down the middle, strike one. And the Woolley, the officer, said, that's it, that's the title, right down the middle. And I was no longer nervous, It was like the opening kickoff or something in a game, And I never felt that nervous again. And another reason they call it right down the middle was when I was a little kid during World War II, and I had a brother, and Jake, and he was older, and my mother would, she worked, but she'd bring home a piece of pie or cake every day from work for us, and we had to share it. And he would cut it, slice it down the middle, and I'd get first pick. So that was one of the reasons I got it right down the middle.
That's great. This is TVS Presents Sport Magazine on radio. I'm John Daly. We're talking to Ralph Terry, former Major League pitcher and professional golfer on the Senior Tour. His book that he's co-written, is called Right Down the Middle. So, Ralph, we're coming up to the 60th anniversary of Mazeroski's famous home run in the 60 series that you served up. Do you ever get over that?
No, I hear it quite often. It's funny. I used to have some buddies I played golf with. They always kid me. They always call me Maserati. But no, it's it bothered me for a couple of years, and then and then I had pretty good luck in the seventh game, but I got good counseling after the game. I talked to Casey Stengel. That was his last year and last game, and I felt bad for Casey. We always all kind of had the feeling that was going to be his last year, and he talked to us before the seventh game of the series in Pittsburgh, and he said, "Boys," he says, "man, I had a great year, have a good off season, and I won't get to talk to you after the game. I'll have to either congratulate Pittsburgh or him congratulate me," but we felt like he was really kind of saying goodbye. But after the game, I walked in his office, and I felt sorry for Casey. I said, "Casey, he said, "What's up, kid?" I said, "I feel sorry the internet put it this way, And he said, "Well, how are you trying to pitch him?" I said, "Casey, I knew he was a high ball hitter. I was trying to keep the ball down, low and away. And I just couldn't get there. Everything I threw was high. I'd warmed up 5 times, and bullpen, and they all used somebody else, and it was a very steep mound, and the one in the game was pretty flat, and my front foot come down early, and I threw everything high, and I just couldn't get the ball down, Casey." He said, "Well, that's a physical mistake. As long as you pitch, you're not always going to get the ball where you want to." He said, "That's a physical mistake." He said, "At least you weren't going against the scouting report." He said, "Come back and have a good year next year, kid." And that was great. He could have hung a real guilt trip on me. But Casey was taking
Casey was kind of tough, wasn't he, Ralph?
Casey? Oh, yeah.
Wasn't Casey kind of tough on players?
Yeah, he was, but he was funny. He had a great sense of humor. He told great stories, and he was something. He always called everybody by their last name, except the only 2 guys he ever never recalled last name was Yogi and Hank Bauer. So Yogi and Hank. Everybody else was his last name. Now Ford. Somebody said, "Well, what did he call you?" And I said, one time he says, "Hey, you get your finger mitt and go down there and warm up." But he talked double talk. He was Stinglese, they called it. He was a very funny guy, but he was a great and brilliant manager.
So, Ralph, talk about the 62 series. We got about 2 minutes left here. You were on the mound then, and you pitched a brilliant 1-0 game. But that final out was classic. Talk about that.
Yeah, the 1-0 lead coming into the 9th inning, and Matty Alou beat out a drag bunt. I got on first, and the next 2 guys tried to bunt him over, and they fouled him off, and I struck them out, and up comes Willie Mays, batting third. He doubles to right, and Maris made a great play, cut the ball off. It didn't go through the fence, but he was running to his left and had to throw back twice, so it was basically a long single, and he held Matty Lou up at third. And I got second, third, and 2 out, and Willie McCovey's up, and first base is open. And Ralph Howick, the manager, comes to me and said, "Do you want to what do you want to do? You want to pitch to him, or you want to put him on and let him pitch to Orlando Cepeda, next batter? And I said, well, let me pitch to him and work on him a little bit. This is what we used to call pitching around a hitter. And if I fall behind him on the count, then we'll put him on and pitch to the next guy. Okay, that's the deal. And so the first pitch, I threw him a off-speed pitch, and he hit a high fly ball to right field foul. It was Marison moving over, and looked like he was going to catch it, and the wind blowing the candlestick apart very windy across left to right. Dropped it in behind the bullpen, just in the stands. The next pitch, I was doing a fastball inside. I wanted to get it in real close, but I got over the plate a little bit, and he had to. He was kind of a low ball swinger, an uppercut swing, and he hit it with a little up on it. And he hit it really solid right field, and Bobby Richardson had moved over way over in the hole to play him to pull and deep. And I thought he was playing him too deep, too much to pull. But I made that mistake of moving Bobby or Tony around before. And you don't move a 7-time All-Star. Sure enough, he hit it, and I looked and smacked it right at him, and that was it.
Wow! Did you feel vindicated after that?
Yeah, it was really the best game probably that I ever pitched. I retired the first 17 men in a row, and gave up a single to a pitcher, Sanford, a little blooper over second, and then I gave up another hit and had a two-hitter going in the ninth. But it was the best game I ever pitched, and I was fortunate to win it. And I remember riding out to the ballpark. God Hill was on the radio. We could hear him. Of course, he was kind of a National League fan. Played in the National League all right. They asked him who was going to win. He said, "Oh, the Giants will win. Terry's already lost 1-7 game. He'll choke up." I said, I saw it at the ballpark at the show. But when he heard what you said, he told me to choke up. He said, "Well, hell, I had to say something. You had to say that." Well, anyway, about that.
That's a great story, Ralph. Ralph, I'm out of time. I want to bring you back so we can talk about your career on the Senior Players Tour. I really appreciate you being on. Thank you so much.
You bet, John. Thank you.
All right, thanks. And we've been talking to Ralph Terry, former Major League pitcher, professional golfer on the Senior Tour. Make sure to pick up the book he has co-written. It's called Right Down the Middle. TVS Sport Magazine is back. Great stories on a great sports magazine. Just go to tvssportmagazine.com. When we come back, we're going to talk about some golf events and the old Hooters tour with Lee Moore. Stick around.
Are you paying too much for term life insurance? There's a tremendous price war among the major term life companies. Rates have dropped dramatically in the past 2 years. For example, a man age 45 non-tobacco user, $1 million of coverage is only $75 per month, level for the next 10 years. Or a man age 50 non-tobacco user can buy $500,000 of coverage for a monthly premium of only $110, guaranteed not to change for the next 20 years. That's right, level rates for 20 years. And if you're a smoker, we have great rates for you as well. At the Term Lifeline, we specialize in policies of $500,000 and above. So if you're looking for new or replacement term life insurance, call right now for a free quote.
Rates and availability may vary by state. Sample rate quotes are based on preferred non-tobacco underwriting exam required to qualify. 800-807-1981. 800-807-1981. That's 800-807-1981.
I don't even recognize myself anymore.
I'm really worried about him. His addiction. I haven't seen him like this. Ever.
Hey, look, I never wanted to start using. I knew the drill, but I was out of options.
I just want to tell him it's not your fault. There are people out there who can help. People who have felt your pain. They know what you're going through.
This has to stop. I'm losing everything. Everyone.
You've been strong your whole life. You can do this, but you have to reach out for help.
It's time. I can do this.
Addiction is a disease, and diseases need treatment.
Call Quit Drugs 321 now at 800-338-6906. 800-338-6906. That's 800-338-6906. Paid for by the Detox and Treatment Helpline.
If you or a loved one is suffering from a physical or emotional condition that has left you unable to work, then listen carefully. Take this number down. 800-593-7491. That's 800-593-7491. When you call, you'll speak with a Social Security disability expert and get a free evaluation to see if you may qualify for disability insurance benefits from the U.S. government. That's right, a monthly cash payment paid directly to you from the Social Security Administration. Whether you're applying for the first time or you've already been denied disability benefits, call now. The disability attorneys at Pinnacle Disability can help you build your case, file an appeal, and represent you at no upfront cost to you. Don't wait another minute to see if you may qualify for your Social Security disability benefits. Call Pinnacle Disability Group at 800-593-7491 for your free case evaluation. That's 800-593-7491. 800-593-7491. Call now.
And welcome back to TVS Presents Sport Magazine on Radio. This segment is brought to you by Sellworthy. You need to tell your company's story digitally and online. Just go to sellworthy.com, and Sellworthy is spelled with only one L. Celebrity golf events have changed dramatically. Let's talk about that with Lee Moore. Lee is a legend in sports broadcasting in Eastern North Carolina. He worked at WCTI in New Bern with me many years ago. Lee went on to work on the newly formed Hooters Tour and then the Celebrity Players Tour. He helps the Ken Singleton Celebrity Classic as well that will be held this September, and he has a wealth of stories and jokes you won't hear anywhere else. Lee, welcome to the show.
Thanks, John. It's great to be joining you after a while.
Well, yes, absolutely. So give me your best celebrity sports story.
Well, it would involve me and Dan Quayle, the former vice president. Long story short, we were playing in Sacramento, California, and they brought out black shirts for his team to wear. He had blue slacks on. Didn't want those. Alex Hyde White, the actor, said to him, Lee, what size are you? We were both the same size, 34 30s. We went into the bathroom. Pants. A fellow walked in just as we both had our pants on the floor and looked and saw the former vice president with his trousers in hand and me. And he told the guy from the Sacramento Bee, so they had that in the paper, and Dan Quayle thought I set it up, called me a big mouth. And anyway, that's one of the funniest things that ever happened. So I was in the vice president, you might say. I kept him for a couple of weeks. He kept mine. That happened.
Okay, now give me your corniest new joke.
All right, the corniest joke that I've heard probably the other day, a guy was talking about how bad his mother-in-law's cooking was. And he said it was so bad that the flies took up a collection and got the screen door fixed.
This is TVS Presents Sport Magazine on Radio. I'm John Daly. We're talking to Lee Moore, a sports broadcast legend in Eastern North Carolina. He's also helped get the Hooters Tour off the ground, Celebrity Players Tour off the ground as well. Lee, talk about the Hooters Tour and the fun you had, and how come why that didn't last?
Well, the reason that tour didn't last was because the PGA Tour changed qualifying. Now they have what was a Nike Tour, the web.com tour. But before that, they had 50-spot qualifying once a year. So all these young fellows needed a place to go play, and our tour was operated just like the PGA Hooters, 2 holes, 36-hole cut. So therefore, there were 2,000 or 3,000 kids for a place to play to get ready to go to tour school, which was every to try those. Now, since the Nike tour and those tours, the tour now gets the players from the top 25 that come out of the after the yearly ratings on the web.com, buy.com, whatever the name of the tour is. So it changed the qualifying to get on the PGA Tour, and that's why we were so prominent back in the 2000s and in the 90s.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, you also helped start the Celebrity Players Tour. That was a great idea for its time, especially, in the 90s and the early 2000s. Talk about that.
About the Celebrity Players Tour? Well, it really was going good from 1999 to 2000, long and up to about 2007 or 8. I'll tell you, John, what happened, and Mario Lemieux probably said it best. He had a tournament place, one of them, and he said that things got stale. People got tired of playing with Joe Pesci and so forth. So it got a little bit of stale. Some of the guys got a little bit older. But in its heyday, the Celebrity Tour, now the best celebrity event is out at Lake Tahoe and down in Orlando with the Diamond Resorts. They're the two most prominent. There's still a few events. We have Mike Eruzione. We have his event in August that we work on. We have Dan Jansen, who is in Charlotte at Trump National. So we only have a handful of events left. But at one time, our events, we had a purse of about $250,000 and raised that much for the charities. And they were 4-day events back then, Mohegan Sun, Ahmad Rashad and some of them. And we had great fields. And we had, as I say, there was a Pro-Am the first 2 days. Then the celebrities played a competition amongst themselves the final 2 days for a purse, somewhere in the neighborhood like $150,000.
So in celebrity events today, they're kind of different. It's not necessarily the big names. It's not the great golfers. It's more about celebrities who can entertain the sponsors and the people who pay to be in the event. Talk about how really the celebrity golf event is different today.
Yeah, and it's always been to a large degree a corporate entertainment kind of package, because the people that played in our events, they were owners and mid-level managers and all that played in the tournaments, because foursomes, for instance, in Mario Lemieux's event, foursomes sold for $40,000. And they raised a lot of money that the players did for their charities, for their foundations and all. But, again, the big names, we had 19 current and past hockey players. We had the Stan Mikitas and the Grant Fuhrers and the Mario Lemieux and Wayne Gretzky's and all of those guys. But, again, it was more of a corporate entertainment kind of package. We had socials during the week, and our entertainers that played on our tour, like the Gatlin brothers, John Michael Montgomery, a lot of those guys, Smokey Robinson, they would get up and entertain at our social event. So it was quite a week, quite a 4 days of entertainment. And there were some good golfers. Rick Rhoden was our leading money winner. Rick, in his history, he made over $3 million playing celebrity golf. Hard to believe, but he did, because he won about every other year. At one time out at Lake Tahoe, where the winning players got like $150,000. But Rick did win over $3 million playing celebrity golf.
All right, and what to me what's really interesting is that when you go to a celebrity event, and if it's been on for 4 or 5 years, it's a good event because they've gotten rid of the celebrities who are real pains in the butt.
Yeah, the guys are. One thing they would always talk about was being sure they entertained people. They would tell stories about things that happened to them, the Johnny Benches, and all the guys, Jerry Lucas from basketball, and just George Gervin, the Iceman, and they made it a point to tell a lot of stories to the people that played with them in the Pro-Am. So it was a complete package, entertainment, the corporate side, and the corporations got a lot out of it too.
Yeah. All right. Well, we got the Ken Singleton event coming up in September. You all excited about that?
We are. You know, Kenny, this is the 12th year for Ken Singleton's event. We get a good mixture there of football, you know, from the Ravens and a lot of the guys that played, you know, with the Orioles and a lot of Kenny's friends over the years. You know, he's now a Yankee broadcaster, so he brings in a lot of good. Ken was a very popular player. He's a very popular broadcaster now. So yes, we look forward to that. You've played in that event. You know, we have a lot of fun, and again, we get a good mixture there. We get a lot of baseball guys too from the Orioles.
No doubt about that. Lee, I'll be looking forward to it. Thank you for being on here. We've been talking to Lee Moore, a sports broadcast legend in Eastern North Carolina. And Lee, thanks again. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, John. Have a great evening. It's a pleasure.
Thanks. Now be sure to enjoy the TVS Sports Network, a 24/7 streaming channel that features 60 years of classic and current TV sports. Now when we come back, some insight into sports, the TV biz, the pandemic, and what's happening in La La Land with Michael Horowicz.
The TVS Television Network, for decades your home for great sports TV, is back. You can watch 6 TVS sports channels now streaming on watchyour.tv. It's free and it's on the internet as well as on Roku, Android, and iPhone and iPad apps. Watch TVS Sports Network, TVS Classic Sports Network, TVS Turbo Sports Network, TVS Women's Sports Network, TVS Tavern Sports Network, and TVS Boxing Network. That's TVS Television Network. 6 free channels at watchyour.tv.
Matthew.
Huh? Oh, sorry.
It's okay. I just need you to listen to me.
I know that a lot of times, Mom, it might not seem like I'm listening to you, but I am. I hear you. And what you say really does matter to me.
I mean, let's be honest. No kid likes rules, but I get why we have them. I hear you, and I know it's because you care.
All the talks we've had over the years, including what you've told me about not using alcohol and other drugs, they stick with me. And believe it or not, they really do make a difference, especially at times that matter most.
Hey, want a drink?
No thanks, I'm good. So thank you, Dad, for talking and preparing me for what's ahead.
Thanks, Mom, for never giving up and always being my biggest fan.
Thank you for letting me know what you expect, so I can try to meet your expectations.
Thank you for talking.
For more information about talking with your kids about underage use of alcohol and other drugs, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
Hey travelers, do you want to save money on your next flight? Then pick up the phone and call. That's right, call, because the best prices are not online. They're with SmartFares. See, SmartFares has special deals with the airlines. When they have unsold seats, they use SmartFares to fill them. So you get airline tickets at ridiculously low prices. Our prices are too low to publish online. With the extra money you'll save, you can book another trip or treat yourself to dinner or shopping. So stop searching all of those travel sites to find the lowest price on your next flight. Let one of our SmartFares expert travel agents find ridiculously low prices for you. Call SmartFares today and get the best price on your next flight. Guaranteed. Also, save up to 50% off business and first class tickets.
855-325-1780. 855-325-1780. That's 855-325-1780.
The great thing about facts, they're proven. Like the fact that crude oil contains impurities. Or that base oil made from natural gas is 99.5% free of impurities. And the fact that Pennzoil is the first synthetic motor oil made from natural gas, not crude oil. It gives you unbeatable engine protection. The proof is in the Pennzoil. Based on Sequence 4A wear test using SAE 5W30, Ask for it at Jiffy Lube.
Welcome back to TVS Presents Sport Magazine on Radio. I'm John Daly. This segment is brought to you by News.tv. This is a new citizen journalist site where you can become a newscaster with your own channel. All you do is go to nooz.tv. My next guest has a long history in television. He was the producer of The Tom Snyder Show. He has been an executive producer on numerous newscasts in Los Angeles and New York. He also helped launch the reality show Big Brother. I was fortunate enough to have him as my senior producer for Real TV. He is currently producing a new show called DEA All Access. Michael Horowicz is a Dodger season ticket holder and a keen observer of what is happening in sports, especially baseball. Michael, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you for having me. Although with that intro, you make it sound like I could not hold a job.
Yeah, you'll find one soon, I'm sure. Hey, as we're speaking, baseball is opening up. By the time people hear this interview, baseball will have 2 days under its belt. So what are you expecting?
Well, as I was thinking about and preparing for this interview, we're taping, I hope it's okay to say, we're taping Thursday afternoon, July 23rd. It's about a half hour before ESPN is going to launch the Yankees versus the Nationals. And I went from not caring to thinking about how stupid this season is going to be. And now I just feel really, really sad and not excited about this. What am I expecting? I'm expecting it to go badly. I don't want to wake up one morning and find out, God forbid, that Clayton Kershaw came down with COVID-19. I just don't think this is going to end well. And sadly, because I was really hoping we were going to have fun and laughs in this interview, but in the last hour or so, and news just broke about a half an hour ago that there are going to be 16 teams in the playoffs. More than half of the teams are going to make the playoffs. And with all this strange new rules and the DH in the National League and a runner on second in the extra innings, I just don't feel as though that this is going to be considered by the fans to be a legitimate championship season. And I feel bad. If my Los Angeles Dodgers are fortunate enough to win the World Series, I believe that many fans will never take it seriously. And I see these players are working so hard. They're so passionate. They're taking their own risks by playing during a pandemic. And I feel bad for them. I feel bad for them if they win. Those are my thoughts at the moment.
Are you at all concerned that possibly if this pandemic got worse that they would close down the season?
I'm very concerned. You had a major player this morning on the Washington, the name escapes me, but Juan Soto, I think, on the Washington
Nationals.
Yes, on the Washington Nationals, he came down positive. What are we supposed to do? What would all you can do is hope and pray that the other players aren't going to come down with it in the next couple of days. God forbid. And what does that do to the Nationals, and what does that do to the legitimacy of Major League Baseball? None of this makes me feel good.
This is TVS Presents Sport Magazine on Radio. I'm John Daly. We're talking to Michael Horowicz, TV news and sports producer. He's also a Dodger season ticket holder. His new show is called DEA All Access. All right, so let's get. I want to talk about some other stuff with you. Vin Scully is in your profile photo on Facebook. Talk about what an incredible person he is.
He's incredible because he did it alone for many, many years. And you're a broadcaster. You can imagine how difficult it is to be in a broadcast booth for 9 innings, 3 hours at least, and talk alone. No sidekick. He's the last of that breed. And nowadays you have broadcast executives who think, oh, my God, that looks cheap. Oh, my God, we need more than 2. We need a former ball player. We need a bigger booth. But Vinny, when he did this for 67 years, I think, 68, he spoke to me. It was the most intimate form of broadcasting I have ever experienced. It was him and me together. It gives me goosebumps just to think about it now, and that's why he was incredible. Forget the fact that he could tell story after story, and somewhere in the middle of those stories would be a baseball game. I mean, it was amazing. He would go, well, in those days we traveled by train, swinging a miss 0-1. And we'd take the train and there was no air conditioning. And I sat next to Jackie Robinson, filed away right back in the booth, and he would integrate the two. In September, he would sometimes literally do two games at once. If there was another game going that was affecting the pennant race, he would literally be announcing two games at the same time. And it was fun. It was just so much fun. And so when you ask me why he was so great, those are just two examples.
You know, you were always a great coach to me when I first started out in my first national TV show. And I remember you telling me, do what Vin Scully does. Bring people in, talk to somebody. So you've always followed that, and I've always been appreciative of the fact, the information and the advice you gave me there. I mentioned you last week on the show. I had Gary Muledeer on, and he had a great relationship with Joe DiMaggio. I told him the great story you told me about Joe D after the San Francisco earthquake. Tell us that.
Oh, my God. Well, first of all, thanks for the compliment. You're a great broadcaster yourself. You didn't need much, if any, help from me, but I appreciate that. I had the day of the San Francisco earthquake, I was producing the Geraldo show, and we were in, I'm sorry to say, we were in Fort Collins, Colorado, right out of Denver, doing a show at a topless donut shop called Debbie Does Donuts. And we were about to start taping the show when we heard the news about the earthquake in San Francisco, and Geraldo said to a bunch of us, just go. I can do this. I can do this show without you. Go. Get your asses out of here. So he went and did the show with the topless donut waitresses, and I never even saw it. I didn't even know how it went. And we raced to the airport, and we actually made it to San Francisco that night. We were the last flight to land just before the airport was being closed because there were cracks in the runway. I remember checking into the Sheraton down at Fisherman's Wharf, and there were aftershocks. And I'm desperately trying to hook up with the camera crew that was driving north from L.A. So around 6:30 the next morning, I hook up with the camera crew that, God bless them, they had driven all night long. And we went to the Marina District of San Francisco, which we had heard was pretty hard hit. There were still some fires there. And then I heard that the mayor, Art Agnos, God, I still remember his name, the mayor was going to appear at a school later that morning in the Marina District. And in the schoolyard, they had set up tables where people would report to for help. And I said, all right, let's go there, and we can interview. There were long lines of people there. And there was one long line of people who were holding red tags, which means their home had been red tagged, meaning the home was rendered uninhabitable. And they had to go and check in, and they had to find out what the next step were, where they were going to stay that night, how their homes were going to get fixed. So I'm going down the line, and I'm just interviewing regular people whose homes were red tagged. I'm just trying to get some emotion, trying to get the viewers to feel what they were feeling. And the next guy down on the list is this tall, superhuman, absolutely handsome man with gray hair, and I was dumbstruck. It's Joe freaking DiMaggio, and he's waiting online with a red tag, and he's waiting online patiently with dozens of people in front of him. And I don't get easily impressed, but I was the fact that it was Joe DiMaggio, the fact that I had just fallen upon him on a line. I have never been so dumbstruck in my life. And I'm stuttering. Mr. DiMaggio, the mayor's over there. I can bring you over there, and you can skip the line, and you don't have to wait on line. He goes, no, sir. I'll just wait my turn with everybody else who's got this red tag. And then he gave me a quick soundbite, and I just couldn't even go further. I couldn't even ask a follow-up question. I was dumbstruck. And that was the one and only time I had met Joe DiMaggio. It was that day in October of 1989.
Wow, great story. Hey, I got about 2.5 minutes left there. There's two things I want to hit you with. I want you to talk a little bit about Tom Snyder, because I can't believe he's been gone 13 years, and you posted the other day that you were so glad that he's not here with all the COVID stuff. What did you mean by that?
Because Tom Snyder from the Tomorrow Show, the Late Late Show, and local news everywhere, he was such a people person that, if we had a celebrity guest for the show, for example, and that guest would cancel out for various reasons, the staff and I would go through hoops trying to find a replacement. And Tom would say, no, just leave it be. I can talk to the people on the phones. And he loved Tom and phones. And we always thought if we did Tom and phones, that it would look like to our bosses that we weren't trying hard enough. And we always had that conflict. But Tom loved talking to people. He loved talking to strangers, the park. He took his dog every day up to the dog park in Laurel Canyon. He loved talking to people and interacting. And that's the one thing you can't do anymore. You can't go to the park and interact unless you're wearing a mask. And everything is so difficult, and he loved walking the aisles at Trader Joe's or Whole Foods, and can't do any of that. And that's what I meant. It's just it would not have gone well if he was still alive. Although I've just been terribly, I'd give anything for him to be alive. He would not be enjoying this at the moment.
Understandable. All right, give us the kind of the elevator pitch for your new show, DEA All Access.
Well, to make a long story endless, I had done the previous TV show with the two guys from Narcos. Have you ever watched Narcos? On Netflix? Anyway, it's about the two DEA agents who brought down Pablo Escobar. It's a drama, and there were actors who played Steve Murphy and Javier Pena, the two guys who really did. Well, I hooked up with the two guys who were not the actors, who were the real Steve and Javier, and they have opened up the DEA for us, and we're in the process of planning and selling a show that would give people access to what these heroes are doing. And regardless of what you think about law enforcement, these guys are not law enforcement. They are the heroes who get the pills off the streets. And the DEA has a great story that needs to be told. I've been privileged because of my buddies to get kind of access, and that's what I'm working on now. But as you can imagine, my work is limited to Zoom calls in the dining room.
Wow. Well, we'll be looking for it. We'll be watching it. We've been talking to Michael Horowicz, a TV news and sports producer. He worked with me on Real TV, also the producer of the Tom Snyder Show back in the 80s and 90s, and he helped launch reality show Big Brother. He's also producing a new show called DEA All Access. Michael, thank you so much. Great talking to you again, buddy. Hey, boxing fans, tune into the TVS Boxing Network, 70 years of TV boxing from 1950 to today for free. Ali, Frazier, Liston, Foreman, all on the TVS Boxing Network. Watch now at tvstvnetworks.com. When we come back, I got a little commentary on baseball for you and the answer to our sports trivia question.
Hi, I'm Dr. Robert Clapper, Chief of Orthopedic Surgery at Cedars-Sinai Medical Group in Los Angeles, California. dedicated to your health, your life, and your sports. As a weekend warrior, you know about sports injuries and pain. Exercise is an important element in keeping your body's core in good shape to minimize sports injuries. But when you are in pain, there is one product that I recommend to my patients, and that is Blue Goo Gel. Blue Goo consists of a proprietary formula developed specifically for the treatment of inflammation and general muscle aches and strains. I recommend Blue Goo for my patients coping with hip and knee pain before surgery, especially bursitis and tendinitis. Give Blue Goo a try. Call 1-888-330-0123 and you'll receive a 1-week supply of Blue Goo absolutely free. The makers of Blue Goo are even paying the shipping. The number again is 1-888-330-0123. If you want more information on Blue Goo, visit online at www.dothegoo.com.
Now available at select Big 5 stores near you.
Airlines have just reduced their prices even more. Book 30 days in advance and save big.
Want the absolute lowest prices on your airline tickets? Then call the Low Cost Airlines Travel Hotline right now for prices so low we can't publish them anywhere. The only way to access our low rates and save up to 70% is to call. Save hundreds on your vacation tickets by calling right now. You can fly anywhere in the world and pay discount prices on your airline tickets. Book a flight today to London, Paris, Madrid, or anywhere else you want to go. And pay a lot less guaranteed. Call the International Travel Department right now at Low Cost Airlines.
800-754-4531. 800-754-4531. 800-754-4531. That's 800-754-4531.
At 28, I had struggled with opiate and meth addiction for 12 years. I did and said things that the sober me never would have done. One day I realized I was not invincible. I was not exempt. And that's when a friend told me about Elite Rehab Placement. They gave me the tools I needed to get sober, and all it took was the one phone call.
Elite Rehab can help you start to break your addiction problem and get sober in as little as 7 days. And we'll work with your insurance provider to help cover the costs. Plus, we have travel assistance programs to get you here by plane or train. Make this free call right now to learn more. 800-403-5912. 800-403-5912. 800-403-5912. That's 800-403-5912.
And the answer to our trivia question, who was the only pitcher to throw the final pitches in 2 World Series Game 7s? The answer? It was our first guest tonight, Ralph Terry. He served up the walk-off home run to Bill Mazeroski in 1960. Then he got the final out to beat the Giants in 1962. Before we go, some thoughts. Let's talk about Major League Baseball today and a big mistake the owners are making. It's called television blackouts. Think about it. Fans are not allowed to attend games in person, but MLB is stopping fans from viewing certain games on TV for fans that are nearby these games. It would be like a car dealer selling you a car, but saying you're restricted from driving it for 3 days out of every month, but you still have to pay for it. If you get the MLB Extra Innings TV package, the region you live in will not have so-called local games. So, for instance, I live in North Carolina, but any games with the Washington Nationals or the Baltimore Orioles are not allowed to be seen in my region. Now, mind you, I'm at least 6 to 7 hours of a ride away from Baltimore or Washington, D.C. to go see a game. On top of that, the regional cable outlet that carries the Orioles and the Nationals up in that region is not available on my local cable service. That's not the worst of it. If you live in Hawaii, you are considered part of the Southern California region. So people on the islands cannot see any games involving the Dodgers or the Angels. Instead, Major League Baseball wants these fans to fly 6-hour flights so they can see as many games as they can to Southern California. It's bad enough that baseball games are 3 hours long and way too slow. MLB does not seem anxious to embrace younger fans. But now at a time when baseball really needs its fans, they are restricting them from seeing games, or they're making them pay more for that privilege. This is truly a shaking my head moment for MLB. Tell me what you think. Drop us a line at tvstvnetwork@gmail.com. Remember, Sport Magazine on Radio is brought to you by the TVS television networks. Watch all 26 TVS networks on TVSTVnetworks.com and also on Roku. There's 6 great TVS sports channels, plus my show, Undercover Jet Setter. Thanks for joining us here on TVS Presents Sport Magazine on Radio. I'm John Daly. Back next week. We'll talk to you then. Please stay safe.